Hello guys, this is the Recreational Pilot. It has been a while since I've made a video, going on 3 years, so it's a bit of an understatement. I ended the last video talking about I was flying home from Carroll County with my buddy Steve. We had a little bit of an in-flight mechanical failure, nothing serious. The carb cable did snap. I had that fixed and looked at during that annual. I had plans on making more videos going on throughout the year. It was the first full year that I had with my pilot certificate. Pulled the plane out of annual. It was about a $6,000 annual, so it was quite a bit more expensive than the previous year, which I was not expecting, wasn't ready for, but I mean, that's just aircraft ownership for you. Things aren't always cheap, but you know, that's just how it rolls. So I started off that year after getting the plane out of annual. My buddy wanted to fly out to Boston. He had to take care of some stuff out there. He was part of a flight club that had a Cessna 172, which was IFR capable, had autopilot. It was just a much more suited aircraft for the trip. This is in April of 23. Now, a lot of the GoPro footage was on his GoPro. I have some footage on my phone, which I'll play through some clips that I still have that I can show you a bit. That was the start of the year. We took my plane out from, well, the previous night, I pulled my plane out from Connellsville, flew it up to Allegheny County Airport, and then the next morning, probably was right around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, I met Devin up there. We got in the plane, we flew it straight up to Titusville, pulled out his aircraft, then we flew out to Boston. That was a really cool trip. It was my first bit of IFR flying. I logged IFR for that time. It was IFR training. It was really unique. I've never done anything like that before, and unfortunately, that was the last time I did anything like that. So we got out to Boston. The stuff that we were going to pick up didn't really fit like we were expecting it to. We were given the wrong dimensions. So we had to figure out something else. This was on a Saturday, so there was really not many options we had. We tried finding a carrier to ship it back so we can just fly back that night, but nobody was available. There was no rental cars available, and at that point in time, fog started setting in over the airfield, so we were grounded for the night. So we got here, and the fog decided to roll in. Had some complications and delays getting out of here. And now it doesn't look like we're going anywhere anytime soon. This is getting into low IFR. Like right at the border between IFR and low IFR. Either way, not safe to fly out of this.
Not even for Ego.
So we're not in a good position. We're going to be stuck here for an indefinite period of time. Forecast doesn't really show anything decent until Monday, but we're going to hope to find a window to skedaddle, but it's probably not a good idea, so we're probably going to be stuck here for a while. I don't know. Hopefully something opens up. Part of general aviation, things don't always go to plan. We're supposed to be back in Pittsburgh by now, but here we are still in New Bedford because, well, complications in weather. Maybe tomorrow, hopefully. Following morning, we were able to take care of everything. We were able to get it shipped back, no issues there. Got in the plane, flew back up to Titusville, grabbed my plane, and flew back down to Connellsville. Grabbed my car, and drove back up, and we were good. That was the start of the year. That was the start of everything, so I'm like, this is going to be a really good year to fly. This is going to be great. We're gonna make do of it. Unfortunately, that was the most I'd ever fly that year. Just a month later, there were wildfires in Canada on the East Coast that ravaged that part of Canada and the East Coast of the U.S. The entire summer and pretty much the entire flying season, it was nothing but overcast, haze, you know, 1.5 miles of visibility with clear skies. That was most of the most of the summer and going into the early fall. So I had really no opportunity to fly. I had some opportunities. I flew a little bit here and there, but there wasn't really much I could do. And you might be wondering, well, why didn't you record any videos while you're flying during that period? Well, the issues that I came across and the issues that I have is with that aircraft. I don't know if it was because of the bubble canopy that it was in it that was letting a bunch of sunlight hit the cameras directly. I'm not sure what the cause was, but those cameras would overheat after about 15-20 minutes, especially in the summertime. I give it about 10 minutes before they overheat. And with some of the videos that I posted and the stuff that I had to do to get the cameras hooked up, all those cables, all those wirings, it's just, I couldn't just stop flying the plane, take it off, and shove it in front of the air vent to cool the camera off. Now I tried taking the side door off and pull the battery out and just have a cable hooked up to it to supply power, which in theory, you know, one of the biggest heat sources was the battery. Take that out, keep that door open, and let a little bit more air in there. It should, you know, keep it cool. It didn't really help all that much. So the issue that I had, I was spending about 35, almost 40 minutes properly hooking up all of my cameras, all the cables, running all the cables so they weren't interfering with me, so I could fly the plane unimpeded, for the cameras to die after 10 minutes. So it was just the work that I had to do for the little footage that I was able to get was an issue. So that's one of the reasons why I stopped, or I didn't really stop, but I didn't film all that much. It became a hassle. And I was trying to figure out a way to record the videos without having that issue. I was trying to figure out a better way of doing things, though I wasn't very successful with that. Just the other thing that happened is at my work. One of our units shut down, as I stated in one of the videos, and it's in my information, the bio. I am a steel worker. I work in the steel industry. It's a really finicky industry in the United States because of a lot of the regulations that have been imposed. A lot of our plants have been offshore to China and other nations. There are some plants that still operate within the U.S. and they're extremely important that they stay open. But because of our unit shutting down, I temporarily lost my job. And when I say lost my job, it's like I wasn't laid off, but I got moved from within the mill to a lower paying position. The overtime that I had vanished. The Sundays, all that vanished. For a small period of time, then I got moved to a crew. It was a much worse schedule for less pay. And I financially felt the hit, especially after that $6,000 annual. It started compounding on top of each other. The aircraft was beautiful. The Tomahawk is a great aircraft. I love the plane. The problem is I am a bigger person. Right now, fully clothed, I sit at about 238, 240 pounds. I gained a few pounds the last time I made a video. I'm not happy about it, but things do happen. So I wanted to get myself into a better performing aircraft. But as I stated, I was not in a good financial position to own the aircraft outright because of some stupid mistakes that I made, because of issues at work, and some unexpected costs that hit, which, just being a young and new aircraft owner, I really was not expecting. But the silver lining to that was my buddy Devin knew a guy that had a Bellanca Super Viking. It was his, and he wanted to bring some partners into it, which, fantastic. 300 horsepower engine, cruises at about 160, 170 knots roughly. Double the useful load, which, again, that was the biggest issue I had with my plane, was the useful load. 500 pounds of useful load, with me being 200 at the time, about 210, 220 fully clothed, 180 pounds for full tanks of fuel. you know, 100 pounds for passenger and baggage, so I'd have to cut back on the fuel. I couldn't go as far, and it really weighed the aircraft down in the summertime, which wasn't fun. It sucked. So beautiful aircraft, just a little bit too small for me because I'm a much heavier person. So when this came across the desk, it's like, it's a fantastic deal. He wanted a $5,000 buy-in for the aircraft, and there was just low, like all you had to do for flight hours was pay for fuel. It was a couple $100 a month, and since he was his own mechanic and own IA, maintenance costs were basically just buying the parts. He would do all that work for free for himself because he had some businesses of his own. He was really well off, and he just wanted some, you know, some offset of the cost of the aircraft, and he'd do all the work himself. It was like the best option that I was given. Like, this is perfect. I get better performing aircraft. I'm not paying any of the monthly costs or the annual costs of an aircraft owner, and I'm only paying for what I fly, because owning an aircraft versus renting, it's a bit different in a way, because when you're renting an aircraft, you're paying when you fly. When you're owning an aircraft, you're paying for when you don't fly. And that's when your annual costs come in, your hangar fees, your yearly insurance, which you pay once a year. It's not a monthly thing, you pay that once a year. The annuals, all of that cost and everything that comes down on you, and if something breaks, something happens, you have to pay for that. So it's like you're getting hit with all of these costs when you're not even flying. So that's two different things, and those costs come like in bulk, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good on the wallet. So I saw an opportunity, and also the previous year, that I didn't fly. I flew no more than 10-15 hours because, again, the weather was terrible, much worse work schedule. So I found a more economical way of flying a more capable aircraft, and I only pay whenever I'm flying, aside from the monthly cost, which, again, only $200 or something like that. That's nothing. Yeah, that's a fantastic deal. I was really excited to get into it. That was after I sold the aircraft. That came in around the same time as I was selling the aircraft. I sold the plane to a gentleman out in New Jersey. We flew it out on the legitimate 3rd anniversary to the day that I owned the plane, that I brought the plane home. That was a late evening, early night flight. We took off in, I think it was like around 5-6 o'clock. We finally got wheels up, and by the time we got there, the sun was down. It was dark. It was the last time I flew. Not only my plane, but that was the last time I flew as a whole. Once that was taken care of, I was in the process of trying to get into that Blanca Super Viking, try to work out deals with the guy, try to go forward with it. The proceeds from the sale, forward some of that money to him, take care of some of the other stuff I needed to take care of. Then in April of 2024, I had chest pains. Had a real hard time breathing, real heavy breathing. I was out of breath for no reason. Again, chest hurt, heavy breathing. I just couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I didn't really pay much attention to it. My girlfriend at the time, her and I went out to the mall, and the entire time she just noticed something was wrong with me. I don't know what she saw. I don't know how she saw it. She just had that instinct like, something's wrong and you need to go to the hospital. She grabbed my wrist, felt the pulse, said, your heartbeats are regular. You need to go. So that's what we ended up doing. How she figured out something was wrong with me to begin with, I have no idea. How she felt my heartbeat was irregular just from feeling my pulse, I have no idea. She's not medically trained in any way, so how she knew that is just a godsend. It was just a godsend savior to me. We got to the hospital. They hooked me up to an EKG, and I was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation, which, if you don't know, is a disqualifying factor for your medical. Now, that's not to say I can't get it back. It's been 1.5 years, and I still haven't gotten my medical back. There's a number of things that you have to do. I'll slightly get into it, but if you guys want a bigger video about it, which, for those of you who have undergone the issues that I've undergone, maybe this will be a help of a guide for you. Just let me know in the comments if any of you watch this. But in April of 2024, I lost my medical because I was diagnosed with AFib. I was in the operating room a week later, undergoing an ablation, and a heart monitor was implanted in my chest. So far, in the 1.5 years, nothing has returned, which the FAA wants the monitor in for at least 5 years. They want roughly, I think, at least 1 year of no issues of it not coming back, because with AFib, it can come back. What AFib is essentially your heart getting electrical shocks. Maybe I'm describing that poorly, but your heart getting hit with some electrical shocks it's not supposed to get hit with, kicking it out of rhythm, because you have 4 chambers in your heart, and those 4 chambers need to be in sync for blood to flow properly throughout your body. AFib is where those chambers do not beat in sync. It can cause blood to pull up, blood clots leading to strokes, which is why it is a disqualifying factor. So with AFib, it basically being an electrical shock that can come out of nowhere, with an ablation, what it does is insulate your heart. They shock or burn some of your heart cells to insulate the areas where the electrical shock is coming from, to prevent it from happening again. The problem is you don't really know where it's happening. You don't know where it's coming from. So even though you do get an ablation, it can come back. So there is a period that you kind of have to sit and wait and make sure it doesn't come back before the FAA would be willing to let you go, get your medical back. My surgeon, he was fantastic. I was at the hospital the day I found out. Later that day, I got a call from his office, and he talked to me on the phone, and he just asked me, he's like, so what exactly happened? I was like, well, I worked a double shift, 16 hours, which was pretty normal for my work at the time. I came back home, went to sleep, woke up feeling like crap. I didn't have any caffeine in my system. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't do anything. I am very straight edge. Never touched alcohol in my life, never touched tobacco in my life, never done any other drugs. The only thing I've abused more than I should have at that point in time, or at least a few months prior to that, was caffeine, because of just how much I was working. Because I lost my job at 23. Well, I lost my position at 23, but I got back into it at the end of that year. And I was working a decent bit of overtime at that point to try to make up some of the extra cash that I was losing. And it just kicked me out of nowhere. I have no idea why. I have no idea what happened. It just happened out of nowhere. That's what I told him on the phone. It happened in my sleep. And he was like, I think I have a good idea where it's coming from, and I think I can knock it out pretty well. I was in the operating room a week later, and to this day, 1.5 years went by, nothing. So he really knocked it out of the park. He really did a fantastic job. Very thankful for him. He did a fantastic job, as I said, and that was a huge thing. I was out of work for about almost 2 months because of it. So another thing they needed to do is get a sleep apnea test. So I got my sleep apnea test. Even though I had my tonsils and uvula removed a couple years prior, I came back with sleep apnea. Barely, just over the considered amount for sleep apnea, but it's still considered sleep apnea. So they wanted me on a CPAP machine, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I went back to the ENT to see what else they could do. They're like, we could take your adenoids out. For some reason, I guess it was because I didn't want to be out for a second time that year, I decided to hold off on that surgery. Maybe it would get better. It was just a stupid thing because it just got worse. And I finally got my adenoids removed earlier this year. And now I have to wait until this December, which is about 2 months from now, before I can get another sleep apnea test done. And as long as everything goes well with that, which it should, I'll be able to go back with all the paperwork, all of my medical records, take it to the doctor, take it to the FAA medical and say, here's everything. This is the issue I had. This is what I had taken care of it. There's a heart monitor to show that it's not a problem anymore. And there should be no reason why I shouldn't get cleared again. That is for the future, though. Now, on the positive note, I did end up purchasing my first home back this past December, which is where I'm at now. If you could tell from my first year, annual report for my Tomahawk, which I was in my basement of my parents' house, so that's where I lived. I paid them rent, paid for some bills. But overall, the cost of living was much cheaper. Though I needed my own space, I needed my own place. I just needed my own little sanctuary. So I was able to do that. The job I have, again, I still have the same job. Everything got back to normal for the most part. This year has not been a good year at work. I don't really want to get too much into it, but I did lose some friends of mine. There was a couple bad accidents at work that have taken place over this year. Some of my friends are gone now because of it, and some of them are, injured for life. But that's a topic for a different day. Sorry. I do plan on getting back into flying again, though given that I own my own home right now, my mortgage, the interest rates being very high, I don't see myself being in the position to own and operate my own aircraft anymore, at least for the foreseeable future. I won't be able to afford really to get into another aircraft for at least for a while. I got my car that I'm paying for, I got the house that I'm still paying for, just the monthly bills that come with that, and just other things that I had to take out some loans on to do some things I needed to get done in the house. Furniture-wise, new HVAC system that had to get put in. So priorities in my life took over. Now, am I saying that I'm never going to fly again? I'm hoping that's not the case, because the last time I flew was whenever I delivered the plane for sale. I haven't touched flying since. Not because I don't want to, but because I can't. I'm really hoping to get back into it, but the biggest thing is money. That's my biggest hindrance right now is money. I can't afford it. Unfortunately, life took over. Priorities took place, and my own place, my own life here took precedence. Now, based on some things I'm hearing, I might be able to get into another aircraft, not my own. I might be able to rent off a buddy. There are some things in the works that could take place, but that's to be seen. Which, if that's the case, then I'll start making videos again, because over the past month or so, I've been revisiting my channel, watching some of the videos that I posted, and it just shot me back to whenever I did own it, and how great and amazing of a time and experience that was for me in my life. It's something that I wish I was able to enjoy more of, and it's something I wish I had more time doing, and it's something I wish I still had, obviously. But you can do one thing at a time. Got the house. That's the main thing right now. And once my situation gets a little bit better with the house, and things improve at work, I'll be looking into getting into another plane at some point. What, how, I'm not sure yet. But that will be that's to be seen. That's what's been taking place over the past 3 years. Not a video I wanted to make, but a video that I feel I should, because again, it's been 3 years since the last thing I posted anything. Well, this is the recreational pilot. If there's any questions you asked that you want to ask, anything that you want me to make a video on, some comments that I've seen that posted in the recent year or two saying that they were looking into buying a Tomahawk of some sort, please reach out to me. My contact email is in my bio, or the information bio on my channel or whatever. The recreational pilot contact at gmail.com. Again, if you have any questions, if you have anything to ask me, please contact me that way. Other than that, you have a fantastic day. Signing out.